All right, shall we begin?
Well, hello there.
So,
I am your host.
all right, that was good, but watch how a pro does it. Welcome to Between the Studs. Today we have a very highly anticipated episode for all of you. Today we have my apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, Rex, Danger Vest, and Ahsoka.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Really
Between the Studs, highly anticipated, more with the employees than actual our audience, I think. We are talking about Star Wars The Clone Wars, and when I say it's highly anticipated, I am not kidding. The employees fought over who would be on this panel, and the ones you see here today are the most violent. And they are the ones that won the fight. Don't let Jillian's look fool you. She's a killer. We'll get into why Clone Wars is so awesome and why people like it even better than the movies. In 2003, Lucasfilms had the 2D animated Clone Wars series that lasted, what, 4 seasons, and it had 4 short movies? I think, or something like that.
2 short movies.
2 short.
They were different length episodes. They were like normally a few minutes, and then they had certain like arcs that lasted. For instance, like Munilist. That one lasted 15 minutes overall in the episode, but it's about 2.5.
And it was 2D animated, right?
Yes.
And it was. Do you guys know Samurai Jack?
Yes.
So it was that animation style. Did you guys? I didn't watch it. In fact, I'm a Clone Wars dummy. Did you guys watch?
Yes,
I would like,
of course.
I have not
It's
seen
amazing.
all of them, but the greatest part, when Mace Windu he loses his lightsaber and he's surrounded by super battle droids, he just starts punching them. Just like destroying them. He's OP, just punching all the super battle droids and sending them flying. Without a lightsaber.
It's like everyone got the Captain America Super Soldier Serum and just started going off
Yep.
on the Confederacy.
Well, he shot up with midichlorians.
Well, that's the Super Soldier Serum. It's absolutely hilarious, the physics
It's
that they
so
have.
great.
What I want to know is the Clone Wars animated, 2D animated, and Clone Wars 3D animated, are they part of the same universe?
No.
Are they canon with each other?
No.
Definitely
They are not.
Absolutely.
You want to know why?
Because they're not.
Go ahead.
Because the 2003 one starts at the beginning or the end of episode 2, and then it ends at the beginning of episode 3, perfectly at the Attack of Coruscant, and they show how Palpatine got captured. So it's 2.5 hours of them just speeding through the Clone Wars.
Original Clone Wars ended in 2005.
You can just ask us.
In 2008, they came back with the 3D one, and so that kind of retold everything and ignored the original.
Yes.
Did they steal ideas? Did they use some of the ideas from the original?
No,
I mean, it was
actually,
pretty different.
Not really.
Yeah.
They kept like the clone armor of Obi-Wan, and designs were similar for the characters. But as far as storyline, no.
So I would assume the 2003 one is not canon.
No.
But 2000...
It's not anymore.
2008
It was for a while.
Highly
Okay.
debated amongst Star Wars fans.
I personally
It's not.
enjoy, OP clones like Fordo. Fordo's the best. Sorry, Rex.
Can we show off your hat
Yeah.
a little bit? Jillian made that.
And
I come bearing hats
Yeah.
again.
There we are.
And she made my Obi-Wan. This is actually hers. I'm sweating in it. I'm sorry.
It's
all the
all-
tally marks.
It's
from
very
mine.
warm.
You're gonna get out. You're gonna have
Mini
sweat marks
wings.
underneath
Yeah.
your pits, and it's just gonna be stinky.
I got
It'll
this
be the
knit
sad.
sweater.
That's
could just
right.
be
Very
someone's
Ahsoka
jacket.
colored. Very awesome. Very awesome. Clone Wars 3D animated ended in 2014.
Oh.
Right? And then they brought it back. Well,
not
well,
really.
They brought it back.
They brought it back. There was the Clone Wars was saved. That was announced
Yes.
at Star Wars Celebration. And the fans have been wanting this for a while. They wanted Clone Wars back. They ended so abruptly. We felt we didn't get a proper closure. It took a long time. But they came back to wrap it up with the final 7th season. And now, with that, there's a little debate if it's now been extended with the new Bad Batch series, which follows a group of specialized clones. And they were introduced in season 7 of the Clone Wars. So the universe keeps growing, but sadly, the official Clone Wars ended this past year.
This answer may be obvious, but I'd like to maybe go down the line and ask all of you, why do people think the Clone Wars is actually better than the movies?
It was like it's a TV show. It goes on a bit longer than the movies do. Each week we were getting new episodes, the story was continuing. It was just an ongoing series that really brought in the Star Wars universe. And it introduced us to some of our favorite characters we've grown to love, much like the movies do. But it was for a bit of a longer span of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TV always has the advantage of telling broader stories and really getting into the nitty-gritty. But I think the main thing is that George Lucas almost had nothing to do with it. That was probably why it was better.
I think shots fired.
We have to thank the amazing Dave Filoni. He did so much for the Star Wars community. He listened to them. He brought Ahsoka Tano to life to the big screen.
Me too.
She did not exist before that. She was completely new, right?
She was a completely new character, voiced by the amazing
dweeb.
Ashley Eckstein. She introduced this new light to the Clone Wars. They always say every Star Wars has its little trio. For this, it happened to be Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka.
Okay.
She was introduced as a young Padawan, and she just shows up and she's like, I'm here to help y'all, but I'm here to learn under Anakin. But yes, that's why I think some fans really do prefer the Clone Wars to some of the movies. But it's per fan's choice. We don't want to say officially that, Clone Wars is better, but everything has its choice in Star Wars.
And of course, it bridged the gap between movie 2 and 3. What I read is it really told the descent of Anakin into the dark side. Like, there was a lot of stuff that went on. There was a lot of side plots and subplots. But the major arc was your descent into the dark side.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
So let's get into the Lego. Did they start making sets based on the 2D?
They only made one.
They only made one, and we have it. Did it come out the year the cartoon came out?
No.
This came out in 2014. Yeah, that's what I think.
Way later.
2015.
2015. My bad.
You were
He was
close.
close.
I thought it was 14 too. So.
Dude, the box art.
And what is that? Why did they choose only make one set? Why did they choose that one?
It's the most iconic thing from the series, in my opinion. Well, it was Anakin's starfighter, his
Look how
custom one, since he
dramatic
was
it
a
is.
very good pilot. He got his own customized Jedi starfighter, and the design of it is just amazing.
And then you get the Ventress from that, who is a little more terrifying looking than she does in the Clone Wars. She looked hideous.
Do you want to know a spoiler from the 2003?
Oh,
In the 2003 Clone Wars, Anakin kills Ventress by pushing off a cliff in their fight at Yavin.
did they bring her back for the other Clone Wars?
Yes,
Yes,
she
okay.
was
The
brought
3D,
back,
she
and
was
her
brought
character was a lot better.
Yeah.
She
It
had
was.
more lines. She wasn't just some
She
sort
goes-
of girl who just fought in a
She goes through
ring,
a lot
a
of
pit.
character development.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
She, in
that's
fact, turns from the dark side because Count Dooku betrays her, and she, at one point, helps Obi-Wan for a little bit.
Were there any other characters brought back from the original?
The one that they didn't do was Fordo, which I'm very sad about.
I
He
was
was
getting
the
on to you.
inspiration for Rex.
In your opinion, Fordo is a better version of Rex?
Yes.
Really?
He's, I think, what inspired Rex.
Okay, so there might be a lot of anger and hostility toward you for that statement. So why don't you explain yourself?
He's cooler.
That's
He's
it.
like, it's like the meme Daniel and the cooler Daniel. It's Rex, the cooler Rex.
I guess what John's trying to say, if there was an upgrade within the clones.
He
I guess
is
that's
the
what it
upgrade.
is.
He has no lines.
He has, maybe that's why he's cool. It's like
Mute.
the Boba Fett effect.
The Boba.
Where-
Yep. He has that
Because
one line.
they only had the one set and they came out years later. Then we go into the Clone Wars sets. Did they start making Lego sets immediately?
In 2008.
For
yeah.
Clone
In-
Wars?
when
Yeah, they
Clone
did.
Wars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It
what?
might have been 2009.
So let's look
I
at
think it's
what were some
2008.
standouts.
These were in the first wave.
Okay.
They did
Check
2
the-
battle packs, which was the first time we
That's
ever got a clone
nice.
battle pack after the episode 3 one. And it
Yeah.
was a phase 1. The first phase 1 we had ever gotten is after the original ones from 2001 or
This is
2002.
from 2008.
Remember, all my allowance went towards those sets.
But it was a good time for Lego. Now they don't make Clone Wars nearly as often.
The stylized super giant eyes. They started
The
doing that.
animation eyes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the animation eyes. So they had those for a few sets, and then they stopped doing that, or did that go on?
No,
for
that was most
It
of
went
them.
on. So this is one from later, I think season
She still
5
got this, the eyes
or
like that.
4. She still has the eyes. It's actually, I think, close to. It's not
It's
quite
pretty
the same
similar,
head. They
though.
changed her mouth structure to
Yeah.
a bit more animated
And
and
it was
expression.
and then she does
So.
have double-sided
But yeah,
Okay.
facial
like even the Ayla Sakura is very animated.
Which
eye-wise.
do you guys prefer? Do you,
I prefer not the animated eye. It makes their eyes look super big.
I think it depends on the character. Like, this Maul actually looks very accurate to the show. His eyes aren't huge, and the expression's good. But when it's just the normal human...
do any of you prefer the animated eyes?
I feel like they made the figures stand out differently from
Yeah.
the other Star Wars Legos. Like, you would be able to tell, oh, that was from a Clone Wars set. Because of the eyes, the little... I feel like with colors, they didn't go as detailed with... They, like, just hit them with like single colors instead of like, I guess, texturizing them more. So it's definitely a more animated feel to it.
Yeah.
A very much of 3D animation style. So it definitely set them apart.
Did any of them totally not work in the animation style? When you look at the figure, you're like, ugh.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan and Anakin.
They look terrible. I mean,
He looks so monotone.
This may be the worst though.
The Padme?
The Padme.
She looks terrible.
Do these not raise in value as much
No,
because
not-
of the weirdness?
This one actually is a bit more because it has the dual printed legs.
The Anakin?
And the different torso. This isn't actually the original one they made. The original one they made is in this set.
And
Okay.
he's
This one,
still pretty cheap.
right
He's
here.
only like 10 or 12.
In general, is the demand for the animated style print not as high?
Yes.
In general.
For the normal ones, yes. A lot of them were only made in that print. Like
Really?
Kit Fisto was made for the Clone Wars first, and they didn't change him for the.
Well, he doesn't look too animated, though.
He is actually, that's the same one. So they made Kit Fisto
They just
in
gave him a
the
cape for
original
Palpatine's-
blue Obi-Wan Starfighter with hyperdrive set
Yeah.
that came out in 2005
Actually,
or 2006. That was the same Kit Fisto. And then they put Kit Fisto in Palpatine's Arrest, which
With
is
a
an
cape.
episode 3 set. So technically he never even came in a
That's
Clone
true.
Wars set.
That's a good point.
Other than the Arc 170. Sorry, I forgot about the Arc 170.
So
But
he
I think
does
that's an
come in
episode
one.
3 set, but I don't know.
I do want to show off, while I'm thinking of it, the lightsabers that John made for you.
They are actually the Brickvault set.
Brick
But I
Vault, okay.
just looked at the photos and recreated them without the instructions because
That is awesome. And as far as Clone Wars animated figures, the buildable, the CCBS, they had pretty much just these two were specific to the Clone Wars because Grievous was in the movie.
this one
technically
was
isn't.
not
Yeah.
specific. This one was specific.
Yeah,
Because
it's got
the armor,
armor,
right?
The
yeah.
armor and
The
art
armor is
style.
actually the same armor, if a little bit tweaked from Obi-Wan's from the 2003 though. So again, like I said, it's very much so inspired by the 2003
Okay.
the Jedi's armors because they wore like the clone armors on top of their robes in the 2003.
In the newer movies or any of the later movies that appeared that were created after the Clone Wars, or maybe even the Mandalorian TV show, have they ever referenced something that's very specific to the Clone Wars cartoon?
In episode 4, Obi-Wan did say something about the Clone Wars, but that was about it.
Yeah, that was
it.
before the Clone Wars came
That was
out.
yeah,
I know.
But I'm saying, is there anything...
George Lucas over here, big group brain.
Is there anything very specific to the Clone Wars cartoon that was mentioned in a live action? Like, basically
Live action,
acknowledging that it's totally canon.
Technically, in Solo's Star Wars story, when Tobias Beckett is at the bar and then Lando comes up to him, he's like, "You killed Aurra Singh. I owe you a lot of money." So they did reference Aurra Singh because she was killed by Tobias Beckett.
She didn't make it.
But that's one of the only times that I know of that they
Okay.
reference someone or a character from the Clone Wars.
We'll throw it out to the audience. I'm curious. Do you guys know? Is there something we're missing or forgetting?
You're
Is-
smarter than
I'd
us,
say in The
so.
Mandalorian, when they had the Ahsoka episode, I feel like they
Yeah,
did
I mean,
a lot
they-
of
That's
connection
definitely-
That was like
Acknowledging.
very much so a direct one, which
Yeah.
is great.
She brought up her time at the Jedi Temple when talking about young little Grogu. And
There you
there
go.
were a lot of references, specifically to that episode, along with the episode where we meet Bo-Katan. There were references.
Oh,
she
yeah.
refers to fighting back in the Clone Wars.
And she was in
Fun
Rebels
fact.
as well.
And she
That-
sends.
How old is she in The Mandalorian?
I believe
32.
she's in her 30s because in the Clone Wars she was in her late teens, early 20s.
Being a huge Ahsoka fan,
Yes.
what was it like seeing finally a live actor portray her? Did it live up to expectations? Was it close enough to the animation?
Well, Justin, let me tell you this. It was a very,
Yeah, we know.
it was exciting, but it's always exciting whenever you find out one of your favorite animated characters is being made to a live action. But when the design came out, there were mixed reviews because what's known as her montrails, they were about the length that they should have been in the Clone Wars, when her current state should have been in the Mandalorian was after Rebels. And in Rebels, her montrails were pretty long.
Yeah, they were.
So to see them shortened,
Was
you got to
stupid.
take into account they probably did that for stunt reasons. They had to do that for just like
Movement purpose.
movement,
Comfort of the actor, maybe.
comfort of the actress. But it was definitely, it was great to see her. She brought so much story to the Mandalorian, and I'm excited to see her new show. There can always be design problems, but still, it's the character who we're there for. And seeing her up on the big screen, finally, live action, was such a great feeling because it truly shows patience is the key. And if you give it a little time, the Star Wars universe will bring the characters you love up to the big screen.
So you agree with the actress and her portrayal and everything?
She did a wonderful job with her portrayal. Mm-hmm. She brought so much depth to the character. She did a fantastic job. Props to you.
Do the Montrose grow their entire life,
yes.
or they trim like hair?
No,
they grow.
Dude.
They grow, and so do these stripes on her head.
You know who Shaq T is?
Is that like Shaq Fu?
She's...
Let's go, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Shaq T is of the same species.
Tortuga, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact name, but if you look at her monstrals, they're way longer because of her age. Mm-hmm. So basically, in Mandalorian, Ahsoka should have been around a little bit shorter than hers.
It should have been probably down to her waist.
Yeah.
Because in Rebels, it was like midriff.
But yeah, like Jillian said, they did it for movement purposes because she was moving around a lot stunt wise.
So, what are they? Are they just skin flaps? Do they house her lungs?
It's like their ears.
It's like their ears, skin flaps. It's
cartilage.
Star Wars biology.
You don't argue with it.
It's like their hair.
Don't question it.
But you can't trim it because it's part of them.
It's part of
them.
That would be disgusting.
Okay.
Oh boy, bruh.
But yes, it was amazing to get to see her up there. Hopefully, more characters from animated series are to come to the light with live action.
Fordo, please, Captain Fordo.
He's not coming.
We can dream.
Oh, I'm living in the reality right now.
Moving on, so we saw the first gen ones. You showed us. What was the next round? Do we have any to show?
They made so many that we don't have because
they're kind of popular.
Yeah, you told me we don't.
Demand.
The store actually doesn't have that many because they sell out.
They sell so fast.
The second we place a Clone Wars set on the shelf, it'll be gone.
No matter what size it is, it's just.
And I read that the Mandalorian lore was expanded in the Clone Wars.
A lot.
They visited Mandalorian.
And that was a huge arc, right? Was the whole war
multiple times.
They had the part where Darth Maul took over Mandalore.
But anyway, we got to see a lovely relationship between Obi-Wan and Tasha Satine, where we did find out in a moment where they were facing possible death, Satine tells Obi-Wan, "I love you," and Obi-Wan somewhat reciprocates that by saying, "If you would have asked, I would have left the order," stating that there was a connection and he was willing to not keep ascending the Jedi ladder and willing just to go back down to be with her.
Which, in case you didn't know, that's a big deal.
Yes. Jedis cannot form attachments.
No. But it makes more sense. Like, you get more of that understanding that he gets how Anakin feels.
Yeah.
But he's able to restrain.
Yoda originally said, "Don't train Anakin. There's too much hate and resentment." Yoda's the Grand Poobah of the Jedi Council, and he's basically ignored.
He's the gremlin.
Did they ever go into like why they ignored? Like Qui-Gon basically like gave him the finger and said, "No, I'm training him."
Qui-Gon was a great Jedi, and you do get to see a lot of these groundings of characters. You see, because when it comes to relationships, you get to see a lot of that in the Clone Wars. When it comes to that, you see it with Obi-Wan, you see it with Obi-Wan and Satine, you see it with Anakin and Padme, to the point where Ahsoka is aware of these things. She acknowledges that or Anakin acknowledges it to Ahsoka, saying, I understand this, your desire to leave the order more than you would understand. And that's because of his love with Padme. And he's like telling Ahsoka, I would leave the order, but I'm not. Instead, I'm just going behind everyone's back. But,
because he wants to be a master.
Seeing the Clone Wars in Anakin's whole arc, do you guys feel like he was eventually going to turn dark no matter what? Even if Obi-Wan was the best teacher in the world?
Oh, undoubtedly,
Or do you think he made mistakes as a teacher?
He was
Obi-Wan was
3
pretty
seconds late to getting to Mace Windu and Palpatine. My goodness.
Go on, Joe. What's your opinion on this?
I mean, I will number one say Anakin was a much more likable character in the Clone Wars than the movies. He wasn't just whining about killing people, and Padme wasn't just going...
And talking about sand.
You're so cool.
That was another thing they mentioned, is that the Clone Wars did go into so much more depth and humanized so much of what was so horrible and cheesy in the prequels that they really made it work.
Yeah, Anakin was a much more understandable character, likable. Like, he was a great character as a Jedi, and he was hilarious. But you see several moments where he's alone with one of the bad guys, and he does something very dark. Like, he'll just straight up kill them defenseless, which is not the Jedi way. And you get the glimpse of that dark side. Like, at one point, this one guy, this is in Season 7.
Trench?
Yeah, he goes, you can't kill me, I know your rules or whatever. And then he's like, I have no such bonds. And straight up just kills him.
Yeah,
Did that come out of
baby.
nowhere, or
I
did
love
they
doing that.
build
That
up?
was
to it?
definitely built up.
Yeah,
throughout
you
the
see
season.
him slowly
Throughout all
but he
the
never does it in
seasons,
front of
they did it.
anyone. So he kind of hides his
Well,
rage.
that's not necessarily true.
Is
Not a lot.
There's
Palpatine?
that one episode.
Padme
where-
knew.
With when Obi-Wan's giving that confession. Him and Satine are about to get shot, and then Anakin just lightsabers
that's
through the
true.
guy, and Obi-Wan even goes, "Anakin," and he goes, "What?"
I remember that's a good moment.
Dun, dun,
though.
dun.
He's kind of just like, "I'm Anakin."
I liked
love
that
it.
moment though because there was such a standoff at that point where Duchess Satine, if she shot the guy, would go against everything she stood for.
For Mandalorian,
And if
yeah.
Obi killed the guy, he would
Go
ruin
Anakin.
his relationship with Duchess, but be a hero to everyone else. And then Anakin just comes up from behind and
It's like,
He
"I
was
got
just
you,
like,
Chief."
fine, I'll do it myself.
goes.
Why did it feel like the original Clone Wars before they brought it back in 2020? Why did it feel like it just ended? Was there an arc they didn't finish?
There
or
was-
what happened?
So the last season
yeah.
was really weird. 5
episodes.
ended with Ahsoka leaving, correct?
5 ended with
Yes.
Ahsoka
Yes,
leaving.
and then you got this next one, which was I think in 2014.
Season 6.
Season 6.
And it was
Yoda.
so
like,
much
finding
weird
himself.
random things. Like one of them,
Yoda.
the one I remember the most was Yoda. He went off to this weird
was so
planet
weird.
with weird-faced women things.
He was fighting a dark version of
It was
himself that was like a
really
ghost
strange.
spirit thing. It was hilarious.
And ratings dropped.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was really weird. And then they just cut it off after that.
Do you feel like they changed writers or something, or like what? Do you guys know?
It was just Ahsoka was gone.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, Ahsoka left. Come on, guys.
That's why they brought her
There's
back.
no reason to continue.
It was at that
Ahsoka
point,
became
it's
so
the
beloved.
Ahsoka show.
She was kind of annoying in the movie that started her out.
Moving on to
Yes.
the next sets, what is a standout, or what is the next one?
Story.
This one is loosely based off of when Darth Maul was taking over Mandalore. He basically some of the Death Watch converted to him, like Pre Vizsla, however you pronounce his name. And then at one point they duke it out, and Pre Vizsla gets killed in a duel against Maul, which was very, very cool.
Those are some cool Mando
Those are
helmets
those are
with
the
red.
reprints, or like Darth Maul's Mando faction.
If you look at them closely, they're like loosely painted. You see random marks.
yeah.
The hand.
And
Seven
some of
of the
them,
Clone
they
Wars.
had the horns like
Like Maul has
Maul
his
had,
ones.
and they're super cool. And in fact, in the new season or the new set of wave of sets coming out, they're coming out with Gar Saxon, who is basically one of the generals of Darth Maul's faction of Mandalorians, and he has the horns on his helmet. And it's so
good.
sneaking amazing, and I'm so happy Lego's making.
And they're
them.
making a Bo-Katan.
Yes, that too.
They have the black hand of Sauron on their head.
I literally was thinking that like 5 seconds ago. I was like, it's just like the white
And when it
hand
comes
of
to
Sauron.
these figures, Vizsla, he's up there as a pricey figure.
No, he's only $250.
What is the
He's
most
probably more now.
What is the most expensive Clone Wars figure?
Pre Vizsla,
How's
Phase
that?
2X. Their availability
Look at
was
them.
short. The set Pre Vizsla came in was actually a hard to find set. Lego did like these hard to find sets for some reason throughout waves, where the set would basically be either exclusively at a certain store or at the Lego store only, or there was a limited amount made, and that was one of the sets I believe that was done for him. He wasn't actually that much for the longest time. He was normally running about $40, but with the new season coming out, Clone Wars,
It's shot
Rex's price went up because of that, because they never remade him. And it was also another hard to find set. Those hard to find sets were very interesting.
This was one of the
Were
later
they
ones
big
they
sets?
made.
No,
this was a
this
very
was a
small
$30 set, and he was in a $60 set.
Really?
It's just who they are.
We do get Darth Maul.
Spider
With
Maul.
Big
little-
cybernetic legs.
Spider-Maul.
Da-da-da-da,
Spider-Maul.
Spider-Maul.
Who's the next most expensive? So those guys are the top.
Yeah.
Who's-
After that,
Phase 1 Rex.
Phase 1
that's
Rex.
close. He's about 100 now.
Oh, wow.
Actually, no. Commander Wolf is more.
Commander Wolf.
He's about 120. or
Is he another
110.
clone?
He's in the one set over here, the frigate that we showed.
The big boy.
He was also cheap. All these figures were so cheap years ago. My goodness, it's so sad.
That's Lego. Explain to me, who's a Clone Wars, Star Wars idiot, what is Phase 1,
Okay,
Phase 2?
Phase 1 helmets.
Had a
the,
little
the, very,
fin.
the very distinct thing. Phase 1s have a fin on the top of them. Phase 2, they are more rounded, and they're starting to somewhat look more like
Stormtroopers.
Stormtrooper
Oh.
helmets. They're starting. So that's the difference between a Phase 1 clone helmet and a Phase 2 clone helmet.
So Phase 1, that fin is for so they can turn.
They're a lot
better?
more
They're
sleek of a
aerodynamic
design.
when they're running. They're like,
The second one has more breathability with the
Ventilator
one little like
and stuff.
ventilator
Yeah.
thingies that are right
Yeah,
here.
they
Okay.
then-
and they
The
look
little
better.
circles.
Did they ever make a Clone Wars UCS set?
No,
No.
they are currently making the gunship, but that technically that's an episode 2.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I doubt they will, just because they they don't
Kinda
make Clone
late,
Wars in
yeah.
general. And if they did, it would definitely be a Venator.
So they're not making Clone Wars still?
No, they are. They are making a few.
They're
For
slowly
it's not like
taking
7
them
though,
out.
which
it's
came
not.
out last
It's not
year.
how many they were making when Clone Wars was out. Every single wave had either half Clone Wars or was all Clone Wars. And nowadays they revert back to making Luke's Landspeeder for the 9th time. Yeah.
Let's do another
Here's
Millennium Falcon.
Here's another very expensive and amazing Clone Wars character. It's the tactical droid.
It's
These are so iconic.
How
for
much
Clone
is
Wars.
he?
He's 100. Most
He's a
expensive droid. Yeah, and it's because he has such a unique mold for his torso right there, and his legs only come on him in that color, that dark blue. So he's very unique, all his parts, and they are in the Clone Wars so much. They're so smart, and they learn. So like so many times the Jedi will fight them, and they'll almost win, but then they don't. But when they try the same thing again, the Jedi lose because they adapt to situations like that.
He, like the Pre Vizsla and the Phase 2 Rex, came in another hard-to-find set, Mace Windu's Starfighter, which was a $40 set, and it was a hard-to-find set. Why does LEGO do this to us?
But luckily, if you are interested in possibly getting one of those sets, they come and go here at Atlanta Brickco.
And we have figures.
Keep your eye out. We always have the figures.
It's a lot cheaper than the set. That's all I'm telling you.
You can always check here at Atlanta Brickco.
And that is, I mean, not just to hawk the store, but that is an advantage we have.
We have all these minifigs.
Is that we have the figs.
These are all online as well, so you can order them from wherever you are. So don't worry about having to come to the store. You can order these on our website.
Or you can call and order it too.
Yeah.
We as employees, we get very passionate about the Clone Wars.
What is this one and why is
it? Is
technically it's a episode 3 set.
Okay.
Technically,
thank you for bringing that up.
But it is in the Clone Wars a lot. The Starfighter, it's his Starfighter.
So what I have here for those of you listening, it's General Grievous's Starfighter.
Yes.
Very unique name.
And this is a set that's retail still, so it came out recently for episode 3. But the ship's in the Clone Wars just because he escapes so many times running away from Obi and Anakin.
Grievous appears a lot in the Clone Wars?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is in it a lot. He is a
big
He's actually within the first few episodes of the first season.
Yeah.
Why is he
with the
white
malevolence
instead of the light tan?
So Basics is in a Clone Wars set, like we said. And in the movies, he's white colored. And in the Clone Wars, he's a tan color.
Hue.
Although in Season 7, they retconned to make him look a lot cooler and a lot menacing in the opening crawl of the Mandalore arc, and he's white.
I feel like they did a bit of both to make all Star Wars fans happy. So you got your different variants.
What is a standout set for you, whether we have it or not? What is a standout set? Yes, sir.
The gunship of all things.
What?
It comes with Cody and Plo Koon.
Yeah, it's a good
It's
set.
so awesome. But I must say, the one that I loved the most as a kid, well, there are actually 2, if you don't mind.
There's 3 gunships,
The
right?
attack shuttle, which was the one that came with Mace Windu and a pilot and just a regular clone. I always wanted that set as a kid. It was so stinking cool. It's in the seasons so much, including the Bad Batch. It's even in the Bad Batch, which is awesome. But then the Venator. The Venator was the best set.
How about you? Standout set for you?
Because there's a lot of ships that they haven't made except in the Clone Wars, like the attack shuttle. The gunship was made in the movies, but is a lot more in the Clone Wars. And then all the different starfighters for every different Jedi, basically. Like, I might be Mace Windu's fighter. I remember when it came out, I really wanted it because the tactical droid, he had a custom, his own astromech droid, and the ship had a very weird but cool coloring. It was like mostly white, but like purple and gold.
It had
and
dark
stuff
red and light gray and some other colors.
It was pretty nice, though. And I remember liking Mace Windu a lot because his purple lightsaber's cool. I mean,
and
it's purple.
The purple bar was pretty hard to get.
Yeah, I mean, it still is.
Because Mace Windu really wasn't made too much, except for in the turbo tank.
Yes, there
There's
are.
a dark purple and then the light purple that's kind of like a pinkish.
Fun fact: there's also 2 colors of the blue for Ahsoka.
I heard that
the
for
Rebels.
Ahsoka.
In the Rebels,
there's also
frigate.
2 colors of green.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not as cool.
Your fact isn't as interesting as my
because
fact.
that's more
Because
common.
it's not his fact.
Well, it's more common. It only came in the trans light blue in the Rebels
And
frigate.
is
Rebels.
that because her lightsaber is actually different? It's
Yeah,
more
they're
white.
It's actually
whitish.
white.
Why is hers white?
Because she wanted to disavow herself from the Jedi Order, so she took out the color to say she was a gray Jedi. But
She's just got the white lights. It's just the light.
You see her white lightsaber
She's the light.
in The Mandalorian.
And
as
Rebels,
you saw in
yeah.
Rebels.
Yes.
So we're having that
it's very cool.
be brought to the live action
was
screen
very
was
good. I was very happy with that.
Because something about Ahsoka, she does change. I hate to make this all about Ahsoka,
But we should.
but
That's right, Snips.
her lightsabers change. Her lightsabers are taken from her when she's brought to trial. So when she leaves the Jedi Order, when we see her in Rebels, she's back with 2 different sabers. And they're much more of a katana-like style of saber, and she wields them. She still wields them the same way that Anakin taught her. She learned from Master Kenobi. But just the colors have changed, and that was a very big moment because it shows she has truly separated herself from not only the Jedis, but just her past in a way.
A gray Jedi is someone who's not light or dark. They're just
They
following
are
their
light,
own path.
but they can dabble in
They're
the dark
not
without being tempted by it.
Is that
by
that's,
the laws of the Jedi Order.
Doesn't I would assume the Jedi Council hates that.
They do. That's why
Yes.
Qui-Gon's not on the council. He was powerful enough to have the rank of Master
Definitely.
and be on the council, but because he was a gray Jedi, they wanted to allow him the rank of Master.
So is
wasn't
gray
even
Jedi something
At least
rank
not the council.
It's
is
frowned
given
upon
to
by
you,
the no.
or you like say,
Basically-
hey, I'm
It
gray?
yourself.
If
Yeah.
you don't
You announce
agree
yourself?
fully with the Jedi Order,
Okay.
Which he
like,
didn't.
you kind of are a great Jedi considered it.
And we don't see any of those Jedis appear in the Clone Wars,
No.
nor do we see that in the Lego sets. I would say that when it comes to Clone Wars, the figures are what really, it's a big standout, Lego set-wise. It's huge. It's crazy. There's so
'Cause
many of
clones.
them, because clones. When it comes to the clones, there are a bunch of them. They all have their own distinguishable personalities. The clones were originally made just to be, like, soldiers. They were, like, dispensable. But through the different Jedis, they're given their personality traits in their names.
For those of you who are listening, we have a giant bucket
Get out of here.
of clones.
Get out.
Them out
We've
and look
got
at them all.
tons and tons of clones. Just bags
This
and
one's
bags of
amazing.
clones.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's an ARC trooper.
Yeah, but it's such a cool helmet.
This is very much so one that was shown in the Attack on Kamino. He dies by the hand of Ventress.
Yeah.
But she
He
like
doesn't make it.
kisses his cheek or something. I don't know. It's so she like force pulls him into her lightsaber and then like kisses him on the cheek and then just lets him die.
She's so creepy.
It's sad some clones were not made into minifigures.
I like all the custom non-human figures a lot from the Clone Wars. We got a lot in the Clone Wars. You know, you get Savage Opress, who's a different version, like a different character, but the same species as Maul, Plo Koon. You know, Kit Fisto he was made before the Clone Wars, but still the same. Then the Yoda. I liked the Yoda Clone Wars version a lot. He was very accurate without looking creepy.
Too cartoonish.
So
Okay.
I was happy with that one. And then there's several others. Pong Krell, really cool figure. We don't have one right now because he's
So annoying. Ugh.
What are some sets or minifigs or both that are extremely lacking? That we need this in Lego form.
More ARC troopers. Gregor from the Droid Tales arc.
Yeah.
Just the Super Commandos.
They have to make more of the Phase 2 commanders. They only made Gree
Cody.
and Rex, I believe.
Yes.
How about scenes or ships
Ooh.
or vehicles?
I think they need to make a new Venator,
I
a
believe
UCS
Should
version.
make a UCS turbo tank.
where the clones are from, Camino.
They never made anything.
I feel like there needs to be a set for Camino.
Yep.
Have the Kaminoans.
Yeah, they've never made those.
Lego, looking at you.
Make
We
us
want our
now.
Kaminoans.
Make it a Bad Batch though. I mean, it's in
Yes.
it so much.
Because that's where they're from. You get a lot of episodes there
Yeah.
where you learn about the inhibitor chips. It's where all the clones are from. And it is the Clone Wars, after all.
Exactly.
So you would think.
The other interesting thing I thought was neat about the minifigs is that you got more Sith people. You got more bad guys, which in the original trilogy and the
Got more
movies you don't
character.
have too many. And the Clone Wars introduced all these new Sith peeps.
Yeah,
which were really
that's
cool
also,
to-
speaking of Sith, Palpatine in the Clone Wars is so good. You see so much of him doing little things that you're like, oh, I see you're evil right there. Saw that evilness come out a little bit.
They
And
hint
then-
at it a lot more.
Yeah, but in the Clone Wars, you already know that because, you know, you've probably already seen Episode 3. And you're able to see, oh, I see they hinted towards that, and his villain is he's so much better as a villain. And then he goes super dark at one point when he fights Maul and Savage.
On Mandalorian.
Oh my goodness.
Which where Savage gets
He doesn't
killed.
make it.
But he was never
And Maul
really
doesn't make
real
it
in the
easily.
first place. He was done by the
The Night
witches.
Sisters.
Yeah.
The witches. He
Yes,
was basically
he
brought
was
back to life to
created.
find
Yeah.
Maul.
He was not more so created. He was enhanced.
Yeah.
Very much so. He was
They
just a
ran-
normal
they
one.
ran-
Was he
the-
force sensitive too?
Yes.
Yes, they
Okay.
ran him through. They ran a bunch of them through tasks, and the strongest one was chosen to then
to become
be
stronger.
to become stronger, to become Maul's apprentice.
All I
Yeah.
can say is when Obi-Wan dueled them on the one planet.
Oh boy.
baby.
That was a good
They
scene.
had some.
He cut off his hand.
I
or
would say
something.
one thing that's very different about him is that a lot of times, you see Jedi Sith fighting, and they're fighting with their lightsabers and all that, using the Force. He brute forced a lot. He'd be like blocking lightsaber, and then he'd just punch.
He also
someone
killed a
into
Jedi
wall.
by like ramming her with his head
Yeah.
and killed her with his spikes on his
Yeah,
head.
totally
I would
did.
like to say
yeah.
something interesting that I've noticed is that out of most of the Clone Wars figures, you get to see that trademarkable yellow
Hand.
hand
Mhm.
that you see from the
Oh,
Lego figures.
That's true.
You do get that, and I'm pretty sure he's the only.
He probably
thing.
is the only
Yeah.
one.
You
So
know
that's a
why?
cute little.
Because
His
he is.
hands are yellow.
Because his face is yellow.
So
And
that's a
his
good
hands.
little,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that's a
fun
good
little
point.
Yeah,
I never thought of
yeah.
that.
point
He
that
has regular yellow minifig
That's
hands.
amazing. I never thought about that.
And then he also has a really unique chest plate.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
think they only use that on like the NHL.
Isn't
or
his
the-
torso just plain? He also came in a $20 set.
Oh.
Nope, he has
he's
a
ripped.
printed.
That is such
ripped-
a cool torso, people.
Oh, I should have remembered that.
Put his
My
head
Someone
back
for
on at
a
least.
Dathomir
If you're gonna
made.
show
I
that.
think it was Luca. Yeah.
No, he doesn't look as strong, but he looks amazing without that.
Have you never taken off his chest plate?
No, why would I do
Seen
that?
his abs?
You had to make it weird.
John does that all the time.
Another interesting Lego fact is that Ventress has a different lightsaber
Yeah.
mold.
Hers are, like,
There's
curved.
a different. Hers are more.
Well,
you should take a look at
Is
it.
that what they use for Dooku or not?
No, Dooku's is also different.
Dooku's is expensive.
Really?
Yeah, because
Oof.
it's
I know it's chromed.
it is.
But is it the
well,
same
They've
mold?
made it chromed and non-chromed.
Okay.
But they're both expensive.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's a lot different. I
Because
don't
Dooku
have
is-
one.
Is
out
that
right now.
because she was Dooku's apprentice?
I think she got that idea, the style from
Okay.
him, because that. But these are very accurate to the show. They were very narrow and skinny like this. So I'm glad they did a custom one for her, and she always has two. I mean, this one only has
It was
one.
actually still like that in the 2003. Her
Dooku-
curved lightsabers were introduced in that.
Dooku was a big deal, or was he just in one?
Oh,
arc?
no, he was.
He was a big deal in a lot of
He
stuff.
was in
He was.
The
He was
best,
always
I still
coming
think
back.
one of the best arcs is the box. With the bounty hunters and him
I
finding...
watched that recently.
He-
It's so good.
There was an arc where he wanted to find the best bounty hunters, so we gathered a bunch of them together and put them through a test.
Which was
And
called the
unknown,
box.
And unknown to him, Obi-Wan did some
Well,
Star Wars space like
he faked
space
his death.
shifting.
Yeah.
He faked
And
his
then
death,
turned into a bounty hunter through...
and he was secretly in that trial.
Saved
And
Cad
he-
Bane, who we all know and love.
He's
Another
such a
great character.
And
who
Cad
we do
Bane
not
trusts him
have.
because of that.
Yeah.
So they go on to the box, which is where Count Dooku's been hiding. And
Actually,
they
it's
just
more
keep
of a
traveling back. But the box is basically designed to
you.
present challenges to root out the best of the best for an operation that Count Dooku wants to happen.
Was this when people?
Which is to
fought-
kill a senator or something. I forget, yeah.
to a kidnapped Palpatine.
Oh, yeah, that, yes.
Another great round of minifigures that were introduced thanks to the Clone Wars were all the droids. I know we touched on a bunch of
Oh, all
battle
the
droids.
astromechs?
Oh
All
no,
the
not that
Astro-
arc. Nope.
Astromech arc. And we got a lot of different
but it-
astromechs.
It had the best part with Gregor.
We got a lot of great
Gregor-
astromechs introduced
Sorry.
to that.
Briefly explain to me, Jillian.
I'm not talking about
What
that.
is
bunch
the
of droids.
astromech arc, Jillian?
Jillian, son.
The astromech arc was an arc where it essentially was the astromech's time to shine. They went on their own private mission. And
It was...
Just let her go.
yeah, the astromechs went on their own private stop.
Is this the one Chris told me about where they fought for droid rights?
No.
It was really silly.
They had a really unique general.
He was like one of the slugs from Flushed Away.
But within that, the astromechs, they had an arc to go on their mission where they meet Gregor, a
Oh.
deserter clone
Oh.
who totally had his memory, I guess, wiped or had his days of being raised on Camino gone. So when they go up to him with the general and they're like, You're a clone.
He's like, no, I'm
you're,
not.
You're not fighting in the war. What are you doing
He wasn't
here?
just a clone,
He was
though.
like, they bring up his old hollow footage, and they bring back his memory, and we have what we believe to be Gregor's last fight, and where he sacrifices himself for all the astromechs to get out of there. But then he comes back.
Yeah, he didn't die.
See, deaths are very misleading in Star Wars.
If
Yes.
you don't see a body, don't believe it.
Yeah.
Palpatine.
Echo, what's your favorite Clone Wars episode?
Episode?
One
Oh.
episode, not arc, just episode. Mine's pretty easy. I guess I'll go first
Go
so I
ahead.
can think.
Go ahead.
It doesn't have Ahsoka, doesn't have Obi, it doesn't have Anakin. It's the very first episode where Yoda and he's going with the just a peace vessel, not high firepower or anything, And Dooku sends Ventress, and several ships jump out of hyperspace, attack theirs. Yoda and 3 clones get in a escape pod, and they shoot down, and the ship's
That
able
one
to
is
escape.
so good.
Flips
He
and
takes
flops.
out everyone by himself.
And the 3 clones are just watching him like...
Well, they do
Why are we
help
here?
by
They do. They shoot a
bazookaing
legend.
the canyon wall
And
to
it
like fall
crushes
down on the
droidicas.
droidicas that were coming.
But it's such a good episode. And it's the
This-
very first one. just
Where
so
Yoda
wise.
is talking to the clones and he's like, take off your helmets. And
Yeah, I
the
want to see
clones
the
are like,
3 individuals.
they basically said like, but we're all the same face here. And
He's like different face,
he's
but
like,
different people.
Exactly. So it showed you that the clones were more than just copies of each other. They all had their unique personalities, which really set up the Clone Wars because then
They go
you
into
thought of
that,
clones
yeah.
as more than just clones. You thought of them as their own unique person.
That follows up into my favorite episode, which is the Domino Squad. And you meet a very special clone, Clone 99. If I remember correctly, they did experiments on, it went bad, so now they just use him as a janitorial clone. And he gives words of wisdom to this group of clones that causes them to kind of be like, guys, we got this if we work together. It's definitely not very friendship heavy episode, but it is one that shows the development of these clones getting their character, and you understand how they get their nicknames, because one of them keeps repeating everything that they hear, and they're like, okay, well, Echo.
I did want to ask, and I don't think this was in Clone Wars, I can't remember. I saw a clip this morning of when Obi-Wan kills Darth Maul.
Rebels, and we'll talk about that later.
That's
We'll
Rebels.
talk about that.
Pause, beep.
Okay. That's Rebels. Okay.
And oh boy,
let's end with John. Favorite episode? Do you have one? You don't have to have one.
The second attack on Geonosis, the first episode.
He picked a scene.
Yeah.
He's going deep. Guys.
So it's a very quick 2-episode like attack of them invading Geonosis. Is just such a well done action scene and layout. It's it progresses so smoothly and well and quickly, and it actually feels like a war front because it's not. Sometimes it's not slow in like trench warfare, but this was just a full-on frontal assault with like tons of clones. That there were a ton of losses too. It really showed like the gruesome side of war.
I had read that the category Wikipedia actually puts this show in is military science fiction. That it's very influenced by the Vietnam War. Apparently the writers were taking a lot from that. Would you guys agree that really the show is about the war? I mean, yeah, there's characters and stuff like that, but the show
The first
is
2
about-
episodes the first 2 seasons are more like happy-go-lucky wartime fun. Like there's a lot more jokes and comedy.
Wartime fun.
After that, it's more like tactical and it's more like you don't know what's coming and it's a lot more scary.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what's going to happen.
Foreboding. And
Because-
neither side is right, really. Because isn't that something Yoda says, that the
Neither side
the
is
war
right, yeah.
is the enemy?
Yeah,
Not-
that's why they want to end
yeah.
it. What I liked about it was, so before Clone Wars, you had set storylines that you were following. You never got to see the rest of the universe and what happened during said universe and said galaxy. For instance, like episode 4, 5, and 6 followed the rebellion going against the Empire, and that was about it. They went to other locations, saw other races of people, and etc. But they never like delved into the politics or anything like that of said people. Clone Wars kind of helped with that because they had arcs which went to other areas, other people, got you to know other characters, and so forth. So it really expanded the universe in a way that influences other shows like The Mandalorian and Bad Batch.
Very well put. And I think you're right that Clone Wars was so influential within the fan base that everything is kind of using that as the gold standard and stealing the ideas, and then
Clones!
let's tell the Bad Batch story, let's tell Ahsoka story, so everything's kind of branching off of that one success, and it's nice that they have the same creators
And
involved.
defeat.
Did the final season that came out in 2020, did that
I was
close it
going
off?
to say, I
Yes.
loved that because
The final
they
arc was one of the
connected it.
best.
They connected
Wrapped
it
it up.
directly to episode 3.
It
there
actually
wasn't-
occurs during the events of episode 3, but
They-
it follows Ahsoka and Rex.
Yeah, instead, that's why Rex isn't with Obi and Anakin. They make a way for that not to be happening.
When
Yeah,
you
the
get
emotion was
emotionally invested
amazing.
in a bunch of animated characters, you know the person's doing a good job.
Yeah. What is the next podcast? It's Rebels?
Rebels.
Rebels.
Okay.
Yeah, you will see these two faces.
What happened to
you will.
episode 3? That happens before Rebels.
It does?
Yes.
So episode 3 is actually next.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
Dang it.
Thank you guys
Wow.
so much for joining me, and
Thank you for
letting
having
me
us.
and educating me.
Yes,
with,
you're
all
welcome.
this
Hey, now
Clone
you'll just have
Wars
to go
stuff.
watch the endless hours of all the seasons.
It's only
and it'll be
seven.
great.
After this,
so
we're just locking Justin in here, and he's gonna watch the Clone Wars. We're gonna slide snacks under the
Yeah,
door.
it's only 7 seasons. So we'll continue with our Star Wars podcasts. With episode 3 is next. Who knows when we'll actually record it and put it out, but we're gonna do it eventually. We'll get all these done.
in time, you will know.
If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. If you are subscribed, thank you very much. And we will see you guys very soon.
I heard that. And they're
Just want-
the greatest Clone Wars character.
I will. Thank you.